Take me as your concubine. Alien princess with daughter begs a human. Station Halcyon Drift floated alone between trade lanes, a place meant for paperwork, fuel stops, and forgotten assignments. Captain Elias Rowan stood near the observation window, hands behind his back, watching distant stars slide slowly past. He had been here for 7 months and nothing important ever happened. That changed when the station alarms rang once, sharp and short. Elias turned calmly, already moving toward the control deck. The duty officer looked up from her console, surprise written across her face. "Unknown vessel just dropped out of jump," she said. "No escort, no weapons online, it's requesting asylum." Asylum was rare. Asylum from a single ship on the edge of space was almost unheard of. Elias nodded. "Open a secure channel." The main screen flickered. At first, only static appeared. Then the image cleared and the room fell completely silent. An alien woman stood on the other side of the transmission. She was tall and slender, her skin pale blue with faint silver markings along her temples and neck. Her eyes were large, dark, and tired in a way Elias recognized immediately. Someone who had not slept in fear for too long. She wore torn royal garments, once elegant, now burned and stained. In her arms she held a small child. The girl clung to her mother's clothing, peeking out with wide, frightened eyes. She was clearly young, barely old enough to stand on her own. Her small hands trembled. The alien woman lowered her head slowly, a gesture of deep respect in many cultures. "I am Princess Seelan of the Velari Dominion," she said, her voice steady but strained. "I come before a human." Elias stepped forward into view. "I am Captain Elias Rowan, representative of the United Human Systems on this station. State your request." The princess lifted her head. Her eyes met his, and for a moment Elias saw something unexpected there. Not pride, not calculation, only desperation. "Take me as your concubine," she said. Several officers gasped. One whispered in shock. The child tightened her grip as if sensing danger in the air. Elias did not react the way the room expected. He did not raise his voice. He did not turn away. He simply raised one hand. "End open broadcast," he said quietly. "Private channel only." The screen remained, but the room sound cut out. Elias studied the princess carefully. "Explain," he said. Seelan inhaled slowly. "In my people's law, a concubine is not a lover. It is property under protection. To be claimed is to be shielded by another's name. My empire has fallen into civil war. My bloodline has been condemned. Every ally I had is dead or has betrayed me." She looked down at the child in her arms. "My daughter will be executed if we are found." The child's eyes met Elias's. There was no fear of him there. Only exhaustion. Elias felt something settle heavily in his chest. "You chose a human station," he said. "Yes," Seelan replied, "because no one believes humans will matter." Elias leaned back slightly, crossing his arms. "You understand that humans do not practice concubinage." "I understand," she said quickly. "I am not asking for your body, Captain Rowan. I am asking for your name." Silence stretched between them. Elias looked to the child again. "What is her name?" "Lyra," Seelan said softly. Elias nodded once. "Bring your ship in." "Dock at Bay 3. You will be treated as asylum seekers under human law." Relief washed over Seelan's face so suddenly that her legs nearly gave out. She bowed deeply again, pressing her forehead to the floor. "Thank you," she whispered. When the transmission ended, the control room erupted into quiet tension. "Sir," the duty officer said carefully, "the Velari Dominion is not at peace. Taking them in could attract attention." Elias turned. "That child was shaking," he said simply. "Prepare medical and living quarters." The docking process was smooth. The alien ship was small, damaged, and clearly fleeing rather than traveling by choice. When the airlock doors opened, Elias stood waiting with a small security team, their weapons lowered but ready. Seelan stepped through first, holding Lyra close. Up close, the signs of exhaustion were clearer. Minor burns on her arms, dried blood at her temple. Lyra's breathing was shallow, her body too light for her age. Medical staff moved forward immediately, but Seelan stiffened, instinctively pulling back. "They are here to help," Elias said gently. "No one will take your child from you." She searched his face, then slowly allowed the medic to scan Lyra. The child whimpered softly, but Elias crouched down, keeping his voice calm. "You're safe here," he said to her. "No one is chasing you on this station." Lyra stared at him for a long moment, then nodded once and buried her face against her mother's shoulder. As they walked through the station corridors, whispers followed them. An alien princess, a child, asylum, concubine. The words moved fast. Elias led them to a private living area reserved for diplomats. It was simple, clean, and quiet. "This will be your space," he said. "You are not owned. You are not claimed. You are under protection." Seelan set Lyra down on a couch. The child curled up immediately, exhaustion overtaking fear. "You do not understand what you have done," Seelan said quietly. "Then explain," Elias replied. She stood straighter, though weariness still weighed on her. "In Velari law, once I asked you, the request was recorded by my ship systems. Other powers will know. They will believe you accepted, even if you deny it. They will see you as responsible." Elias did not flinch. "Then we'll clarify." She gave a small, sad smile. "You cannot clarify ancient law with words alone." That night the first threat came. Station sensors detected an unmarked vessel approaching from deep space. Its transponder was false, its energy signature masked. Elias was already on the bridge when the alert sounded. "They found us fast," the officer said. Elias watched the incoming data. "Open a channel." The screen showed a sharp-featured alien commander, his uniform bearing the marks of Velari noble houses. "Human," the commander said coldly, "you are harboring Velari property. Release the princess and the child." Elias' jaw tightened. "They are asylum seekers under human law." The commander laughed softly. "Human law does not apply to Velari blood. She is condemned." "She is under my protection," Elias said evenly. The commander's eyes narrowed. "Then you claim her." "I protect life," Elias replied. "That is all." The alien vessel's weapons powered up briefly, then paused. "You are insignificant," the commander said. "We will return with authority." The screen went dark. Elias exhaled slowly. The next days were tense. News spread quietly through diplomatic channels. A human captain had interfered in Velari succession matters. Some laughed, some watched. Seelan remained in her quarters, rarely leaving Lyra's side. Elias visited daily, bringing updates, answering questions. They spoke not as ruler and subject, but as two people trapped by events larger than themselves. "Why do humans do this?" Seelan asked once. "You gain nothing," Elias shrugged. "We gain the right to sleep at night." One evening, Lyra followed Elias into the room, her steps hesitant. "Are you the shield?" she asked in broken trade language. Elias knelt. "If you need one," he said. She nodded, satisfied, and returned to her mother. By the end of the week, human ships began to arrive. Not warships, observers, diplomats, legal envoys. The galaxy was paying attention. Elias stood at the observation window again, watching the lights of approaching vessels. Humanity had been underestimated, and for the first time, someone had bet their life on that mistake. The arrival of the human ships changed the feeling of Station Halcyon Drift. Before, it had been quiet and forgotten. Now it felt like the center of a slow-forming storm. Ships did not crowd close or show weapons. They stayed at a respectful distance, their lights steady, their movements calm. That calm was intentional. Humans did not come shouting. They came to watch. Captain Elias Rowan walked the station corridors with measured steps. Every move he made was being recorded now, not just by station cameras, but by distant observers across several species. He was aware of it, but he did not let it change how he acted. In the diplomatic quarters, Princess Seelan sat near the window, holding Lyra close as the child slept. Lyra's breathing was deeper now, more even. Medical scans showed she was malnourished and exhausted, but healing. For Seelen, that alone was worth any risk. Elias stopped at the doorway, careful not to wake the child. "You should rest," he said quietly. Seelen gave a small smile. "Sleep does not come easily anymore." Elias nodded. "I understand." She hesitated, then spoke. "Other species would have hidden us, bargained with us. Used us? We are not other species," Elias replied. Seelen studied him closely. "That is becoming very clear." Outside the station, the unmarked Velari vessel returned, this time with escorts. Their formation was aggressive, meant to intimidate. They sent no request to dock. They simply waited. On the bridge, Elias stood with his officers, hands clasped behind his back. "They want a reaction," the tactical officer said. "They won't get one," Elias answered. Instead of raising shields or powering weapons, Elias ordered all station lights turned up to full. Windows brightened. Docking bays opened visibly. Everything was open, transparent, unafraid. A message arrived moments later. "Human Captain," the Velari commander said, appearing on screen again. "You are defying Velari authority." Elias met his gaze. "I am following human law." The commander sneered. "Your laws are weak." Elias' voice remained steady. "Our laws protect the helpless." The Velari ships drifted closer, just inside sensor range. It was a threat without crossing a line. Elias did not respond. Instead, he sent a message of his own, not to the Velari commander but to every observing ship. "Station Halcyon Drift has accepted asylum seekers," he said. "No weapons will be fired unless attacked. This station will not surrender civilians." The message was simple, clear, impossible to misinterpret. Seelen felt the tension even from her quarters. She stood near the door, listening to distant station sounds. Lyra stirred and opened her eyes. "Are they here?" the child asked softly. "Yes," Seelen said, smoothing her hair. Lyra looked up at her mother. "Will the human shield stop them?" Seelen did not answer right away. She did not know, but she remembered Elias' calm voice, his refusal to shout, his refusal to trade lives. "Yes," she said at last, "he will try." Hours passed. The Velari ships did nothing. They waited, clearly expecting fear, panic, or a mistake. None came. Instead, a new ship arrived. Its markings were human but old, not military, legal. The ship transmitted its identity openly. Interstellar Human Mediation Council. The Velari commander's expression changed slightly when the ship appeared. Elias allowed himself a slow breath. The mediation vessel docked and 3 humans arrived on the station. They wore plain clothing, no rank symbols, no weapons. Their leader was an older woman with silver hair and sharp eyes. "I am Judge Marin Holt," she said. "We are here to observe and advise." Elias inclined his head. "Welcome," she glanced around the station. "You've made quite an impression." "Not intentionally," Elias replied. Judge Holt met Seelen shortly after. The princess stood with dignity, though exhaustion still clung to her. "You requested asylum," Holt said. "Yes," Seelen answered, "for myself and my daughter." "And you used the word concubine," Holt added carefully. Seelen nodded. "In my culture, it means protection under another's authority." Holt looked thoughtful. "In ours, it does not." "I have learned that," Seelen said, "but the galaxy has not." Holt smiled slightly. "Then we will teach them." The Velari commander grew impatient. Another message arrived, sharper this time. "You are harboring fugitives," he said. "This is interference." Judge Holt stepped into the frame beside Elias. "This is lawful asylum under human charter," she said calmly. "You are welcome to dispute it in council." The commander's eyes flicked to her insignia. His jaw tightened. "You know Velari law," he said. "Her bloodline is condemned." "By whom?" Holt asked. "Our ruling council, which is currently at war with itself," Holt replied. "Your authority is unclear." Silence followed. The commander broke it with anger. "Humans hide behind words." Holt's gaze hardened. "Humans built those words so weaker voices could survive." The transmission ended abruptly. For the next 2 days, nothing happened. That frightened Seelan more than open threats. Elias spent much of that time with Lyra. He brought her simple toys, taught her human words. She followed him around the room, curious and quiet. "Why are humans watching us?" she asked once, pointing to the stars. "They're making sure no one hurts you," Elias said. "Even if it is dangerous?" she asked. "Yes," he answered without hesitation. She nodded, accepting this as truth. On the third day the attack came, not from the Velari ships outside, but from within. Station security detected a breach in a lower cargo section. Armed operatives, Velari loyalists, had infiltrated using forged human IDs. Alarms rang. Elias reacted instantly. "Seal all internal sections, non-lethal only." Security teams moved fast, blocking corridors, herding civilians to safety. Seelan felt the vibration through the floor. She grabbed Lyra and backed toward the far wall. "They're here," she whispered. The door opened. Elias stepped inside, flanked by 2 unarmed guards. "They won't reach you," he said firmly. Moments later, shouting echoed through the corridor. The sound of struggle, orders barked in alien tongues, then silence. The attackers were captured, restrained, and publicly identified. Judge Holt made sure every observing ship saw the footage. "These were not warriors," she announced. "They were assassins sent to kill a child." The reaction was immediate. Several neutral species withdrew their support from the Velari claim. Even some Velari factions went silent. The galaxy did not like seeing children targeted. That night, Seelan sat with Elias in the quiet common area. "I believed power was strength," she said softly. "Titles. Armies fear. And now?" Elias asked. "Now I see strength is restraint," she replied. "You had every reason to hand us over. You did not." Elias looked out at the stars. "Humans learned long ago that survival means protecting what matters, not ruling everything." Seelan bowed her head. "Then I will stand with you, not beneath you." Elias smiled faintly. "That's all we ever ask." Outside, the Velari ships finally began to retreat, one by one. They had failed to break a human station without a single shot fired. And the galaxy had noticed. The retreat of the Velari ships did not bring peace. It brought attention. Station Halcyon Drift was no longer just a quiet outpost. It had become a symbol. Messages arrived daily from across known space. Some were polite requests for information. Others were thinly veiled warnings. A few were openly hostile. Elias read every one of them, then set them aside and focused on the people in front of him. Princess Seelan noticed the change immediately. The station felt heavier, like the air itself carried expectation. She spent much of her time helping where she could, assisting medics, learning human customs, refusing special treatment. She wanted the station crew to see her not as a burden but as a person. Lyra followed her everywhere, curiosity slowly replacing fear. She laughed more now. She asked questions. She liked watching ships dock and depart, counting lights in the distance. One morning, as Elias walked with Lyra along the observation corridor, she pressed her hands against the glass. "So many people are watching," she said. "Yes," Elias replied. "Are they waiting for something bad?" she asked. He considered the question. "Some are, others are waiting to see who we choose to be." She nodded as if that made sense. That same day, Judge Holt convened a station-wide council meeting. Representatives from multiple human systems joined remotely. A few neutral alien observers were also present, their images flickering across the large chamber screens. The purpose was clear. The situation could not remain undefined. "The Velari Civil War has fractured authority," Judge Holt said. "They claim Princess Seelan and her child are condemned. We dispute the legitimacy of that claim." One observer, a tall insectoid being from a trade coalition, tilted its head. "You risk escalation by sheltering them." Elias spoke before Holt could answer. "We risk escalation by abandoning them too." The chamber fell silent. Another observer asked, "Why does humanity involve itself at all?" Elias did not hesitate. Because if law only protects the powerful, then it is not law, it is permission. The words spread quickly beyond the chamber. They were replayed, translated, debated. Seelin watched the proceedings from her quarters, holding Lyra close. For the first time in her life, she saw leaders speak without threatening each other. That night, she approached Elias privately. "You are reshaping how others see you," she said. "That is dangerous." Elias nodded. "Change usually is." "You could still send us away," she said. "Claim neutrality." "And live with that?" he asked gently. She bowed her head. "No." The next move did not come from Velari forces, but from a neutral alliance known for strict non-interference. They sent a formal challenge, not with ships but with law. A tribunal was called. It would not be held on human territory. It would not be held on Velari territory either. It would be held in open space, overseen by multiple species. Princess Seelin was to appear and answer claims against her. Judge Holt reviewed the request carefully. "This is risky," she said, "but refusing would make us look like we are hiding something." Elias agreed. "We will attend." Seelin was silent when she heard. "They want to put me on display," she said at last, "like proof of wrongdoing." "They want clarity," Holt replied. "And so does the galaxy." Lyra clutched her mother's hand. "Will they take us?" Elias knelt in front of her. "No one takes you anywhere without consent," he said firmly. The tribunal platform was vast, transparent, and exposed. No walls, no shadows, only space beyond. Dozens of species appeared as holograms or in person. The Velari delegation arrived late, their expressions cold. Princess Seelin stood alone at the center, Lyra beside her. Elias stood several steps back, visible but not dominating. A neutral arbiter spoke. "Princess Seelin, you are accused of evading lawful execution and manipulating human protection." Seelin lifted her chin. "I fled unlawful murder. I asked for protection because my child was marked for death." The Velari representative sneered. "Our laws are broken," Seelin interrupted calmly. "Your council is divided, your courts are silent, you execute rivals without trial." Murmurs spread. The arbiter turned to Elias. "Captain Rowan, why did you intervene?" Elias stepped forward. "Because she asked." "Because my laws allow it, because no child deserves death for politics." A Velari voice cut in sharply. "You claimed her." "I did not," Elias replied. "I protected her." "In Velari law, I am not Velari," Elias said evenly, "and neither is human law subordinate to yours." Silence followed. The arbiter considered this. "Protection without ownership is unusual." Elias nodded. "So was abolishing slavery. So was recognizing asylum. Humans do not wait for ideas to be comfortable." That statement rippled outward, broadcast far beyond the tribunal. Then something unexpected happened. A Velari civilian representative stepped forward, breaking protocol. "Our people are tired," she said. "We have lost leaders, children, futures. If this human law protects life, perhaps we should learn from it." The Velari delegation erupted in protest, but the damage was done. The arbiter raised a hand. "Order." After hours of testimony, evidence, and quiet arguments, the ruling came. "As authority within the Velari dominion is disputed," the arbiter declared, "Princess Seelin and her child remain under human asylum until lawful governance is restored." No cheers followed, just a deep, shared breath across the platform. As they returned to Halcyon Drift, Seelin felt something she had not felt in years. Hope, but hope attracted danger. Within days, reports arrived of unrest within Velari space. Some factions blamed humanity, others blamed their own leaders. Tension grew. Elias knew what was coming before the message arrived. A Velari extremist faction had mobilized, not to attack the station directly, but to force a decision. They announced an embargo. Any species trading with humans would lose Velari access. It was meant to isolate humanity. The response surprised everyone. Human trade did not stop. It rerouted, adapted. Communities shared resources. Smaller species, long pressured by Velari dominance, quietly joined human lanes instead. The galaxy learned another lesson. Humans did not collapse when pressured. They adjusted. Lyra noticed more ships than ever. "Are they angry?" she asked. "Some," Elias said. "Are you scared?" she asked. He smiled. "Sometimes." "But you stay," she said. "Yes," he replied. That night Seelan stood beside Elias at the observation window. "In my world," she said, "power meant standing above others." "And now?" Elias asked. "Now I see power is standing beside them," she replied. Far away, stars shifted as ships changed course. Humanity had drawn a line without firing a weapon. And the universe was beginning to understand what that meant. The line humanity had drawn was quiet, but it was firm. And quiet lines, Elias learned, made some people very angry. Station Halcyon Drift entered its busiest period in history. Ships arrived every hour. Not fleets, not armadas, but individuals, traders, families, small delegations from species that had never before spoken directly to humans. They came not because they were ordered to, but because they were curious. They wanted to see the place where power had been refused. Elias spent long days moving between meetings, security briefings, and quiet moments with Seelan and Lyra. He slept little. None of the senior crew did. The station was stable, but pressure built like a storm behind glass. Seelan sensed it more sharply than anyone. She had lived among courts and conspiracies her whole life. This felt familiar, and that scared her. "You are becoming a symbol," she said to Elias one evening. "Symbols attract those who want to break them." Elias nodded. "We know." Lyra sat on the floor between them, arranging small metal shapes Elias had brought from the engineering bay. She looked up. "Do symbols get hurt?" she asked. Elias crouched beside her. "Sometimes," he said honestly, "but people protect them." She thought about this, then pushed one shape closer to him. "Then you can be one too," he smiled softly. "I already am." The warning arrived 2 days later. Long-range sensors detected multiple jump signatures beyond the edge of known space lanes. They were not Velari. Their technology was older, heavier, mercenary fleets. Elias stood on the bridge as the data streamed in. "They've been hired," the tactical officer said. "Unknown sponsor. They're not broadcasting intent." Judge Holt joined them, her expression grim. "Someone wants to force a violent response. If you fire, they can paint humanity as aggressive." "And if we do?" Elias asked. "They'll test how far they can go." The mercenary ships stopped just outside weapons range. They formed a wide arc, blocking multiple trade routes. It was not an attack, it was a cage. Messages poured in from traders unable to pass. Fear spread. Seelan watched the formation from the observation window, her arms wrapped tightly around herself. "This is my fault," she said quietly. Elias shook his head. "No. This is because someone believes fear works better than patience." "They are baiting you," she said. "They want you to choose between safety and principle." Elias did not answer right away. He watched the ships, silent and waiting. Then he did something no one expected. He sent an open broadcast. "This is Captain Elias Rowan of Station Halcyon Drift," he said. "To all vessels present, you are blocking civilian traffic. This station will not engage you. We invite negotiation." The mercenaries did not respond. Instead, one ship fired a single shot. Not at the station, at empty space close enough to be unmistakable. The bridge tensed. "Sir," the tactical officer said. "Permission to raise shields." Elias raised a hand. "Hold." The second shot struck a nearby buoy, shattering it. Panic rippled through docked ships. Civilian captains demanded action. Judge Holt leaned closer to Elias. "If they escalate—" "They already are," Elias said, "but not the way they want." He ordered all station-wide channels opened. "Attention all personnel and visitors," he said calmly. "We are under threat. No one will be abandoned. Human ships are forming escort lanes. Civilian vessels will move first." Human freighters moved immediately, placing themselves between mercenary lines and smaller ships. Not with weapons raised, but with engines angled, shields low but active. The message was clear. You want to get to them, you go through us. Seelan watched in disbelief. They are risking themselves. They chose to, Elias replied. Lyra pressed her face to the glass. They're standing close, she said. Yes, Elias said. That's what humans do when they mean something. The mercenary commander finally responded. You are interfering with lawful operations, the voice growled. Withdraw, Elias answered without anger. You are threatening civilians, stand down, the mercenary laughed. You won't fire. No, Elias agreed. We won't. Another pause, then something unexpected happened. One mercenary ship powered down its weapons, then another. Their sponsor had expected violence. Without it, the mercenaries had no justification, no legal cover. Within hours, the formation loosened. Ships drifted away one by one, unwilling to be the first to commit real aggression. The blockade collapsed without a single exchange of fire. Across the galaxy, analysts struggled to explain what they had seen. Seelan felt tears sting her eyes. In my world, this would have ended in blood. Elias looked tired. In ours, blood is the failure state. That night, the real threat revealed itself. A Velari extremist broadcast hijacked multiple channels simultaneously. The leader appeared on screen, eyes burning with certainty. Humans, he declared. You shelter a traitor, you weaken lawful order, we invoke ancient right. Seelan froze. No, she whispered. Elias turned to her. What is it? They are declaring a blood challenge, she said. If accepted, it demands surrender or duel. If refused, they claim moral authority to attack. Judge Holt clenched her jaw. It's a trap. Yes, Seelan said, but it binds many Velari. They will follow it. Elias studied the broadcast carefully. What happens if it's answered differently? Seelan hesitated. It has never been. Elias nodded slowly. Then we'll be first. He stepped into the broadcast frame. This is Captain Elias Rowan, he said. Humanity does not answer blood with blood. We answer challenge with responsibility. The extremist sneered. You refuse. No, Elias said. We transform it. Confusion flickered across multiple channels. Elias continued. You claim authority to kill a child. We claim authority to protect life. If your right demands sacrifice, then hear ours. He gestured behind him. Human medics, engineers, traders, civilians appeared on screen. Hundreds of faces, different ages, different backgrounds. We bind ourselves, Elias said, to the safety of those under our protection. Any attack on them is an attack on all of us. The silence that followed was absolute. The extremist shouted, This is weakness. No, Elias replied quietly. This is consent. Across Velari space, something shifted. Civilians watched. Soldiers hesitated. Leaders argued. Seelan felt it like a physical weight lifting from her chest. They cannot twist this, she said. You took their ritual and removed its teeth. The broadcast ended. In the days that followed, Velari extremist support fractured. Some laid down arms. Others retreated into obscurity. The galaxy did not erupt into war. Instead, discussions began. Human legal scholars were invited into interstellar councils. Small species asked questions. Old assumptions cracked. Lyra walked the station halls freely now, waving at crew members who greeted her by name. One evening she asked Seelan, Are we still running? Seelan knelt beside her. No, she said. We are standing. Elias joined them, looking out at the stars. They will remember this, Seelan said. Humans who would not rule but would not yield. Elias nodded. That's the balance. Far beyond the station, trade routes reopened. Weapons powered down. Words replaced threats. Humanity had not just protected one life. They had shown the galaxy a different way to hold power. And the story was not finished yet. The galaxy did not change all at once. It never did. Change came slowly, carried by memory, by stories told and retold, by quiet decisions made when no one was forcing them. Station Halcyon Drift became busy in a new way. Not tense anymore, but steady. Ships still arrived, but now they came with open requests instead of hidden motives. Delegations asked questions instead of making threats. They wanted to understand how a small human station had stood firm without turning into a fortress. Captain Elias Rowan remained the same. He still wore the same uniform. He still walked the same corridors, but people watched him differently now, not with fear, with attention. Princess Seelin noticed it during a council visit. A tall alien representative bowed slightly to Elias before speaking. It was not required. It was chosen. Later, as they walked back toward the living quarters, Seelin spoke quietly. "They are beginning to treat you like leaders," she said. Elias shook his head. "They are treating us like examples, that's heavier," she smiled faintly. "You carry it well." Life settled into a careful rhythm. Lyra attended shared learning sessions with human children on the station. At first, she stayed close to her mother, quiet and observant. But children adapted faster than adults. Soon she was laughing, trading words between languages, teaching others how to count stars the Velari way. One afternoon, Elias watched from a distance as Lyra explained something excitedly to a group of children. "She's changed," he said to Seelin. Seelin nodded. "She is no longer preparing to disappear." That simple sentence carried years of pain within it. The Velari situation continued to evolve. Without a single clear ruler, factions argued, negotiated, and slowly burned themselves out. The extremist voices grew quieter as civilians demanded stability instead of pride. Human observers were invited not as rulers but as witnesses. That mattered. Judge Holt prepared to leave Halcyon Drift after months of presence. On her final day, she met privately with Elias. "You handled this well," she said. Elias leaned against the table. "We handled it together," she smiled. "That's the part they'll write down." Before she departed, she left behind a sealed document. "Human Protective Asylum Accord," she explained. Expanded, clarified. "What you did here needed a name." Elias accepted it carefully. "This will make things bigger." "Yes," Holt agreed, "but clearer." That evening, Seelin requested a formal meeting. Elias met her in the quiet observation chamber, stars drifting slowly past the wide glass. "I have received communication from Velari civilian councils," she said. "They ask me to return, not as a princess, as a mediator." Elias studied her face. There was no fear there now, only resolve. "That's a choice only you can make," he said. She nodded. "I know." Silence stretched between them, comfortable and heavy. "And Lyra?" Elias asked. "She would come with me," Seelin said softly, "but only if it is safe, only if she wants to." Elias looked out at the stars. "You'll always have protection here." Seelin bowed her head slightly. "I know, that is why I can leave." When Seelin told Lyra, the child listened carefully. "Will the humans still be there?" Lyra asked. "Yes," her mother said, "even if far away." Lyra thought for a long moment. Then she ran down the corridor. Elias was in the common area when she reached him. She stopped in front of him, breathing hard. "You are still the shield," she said firmly. He knelt. "Always." She nodded, satisfied, and ran back to her mother. The farewell was not dramatic. No grand speeches. No tears in public. Just quiet gratitude exchanged in small moments. Human ships escorted Seelin's vessel part of the way, then turned back. Not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Elias watched the ship fade into jump space. "She'll do well," someone said behind him. He nodded. "She already is." Time passed. Halcyon Drift remained important, but it was no longer unique. Other stations adopted similar policies. Other species experimented with protection without ownership, law without dominance. Not perfectly, not easily, but enough to matter. Elias received a message months later. Velari space had stabilized into a provisional council. Seelin served as a voice for civilians, not a ruler, not a symbol, a bridge. Attached was a short recording. Lyra appeared on screen, older already, standing straighter. "Hello, Captain Elias," she said carefully in human language. "I am learning many things. I am safe." She paused, then added, "Thank you for standing." The message ended. Elias sat quietly for a long time afterward. Years later, historians would argue about what changed the galaxy's direction. Some would point to treaties, others to economic shifts. A few would mention halcyon drift, but among ordinary people, the story spread differently. They spoke of a human who refused to own, but chose to protect, of a station that opened its doors instead of its guns, of a child who slept safely because someone stood between her and fear. Elias remained at Halcyon Drift until his reassignment came. On his last day, he stood once more at the observation window. The stars looked the same as they always had, but the space between them felt different now. Humanity had not claimed the galaxy. They had simply shown up when it mattered. And the universe, slowly and quietly, learned to trust that.